Hi, I am Darcy Ziegler, and I am a reading teacher. I teach online kids any age that has dyslexia. So have decided to start a YouTube channel talking a little bit about what is dyslexia and explaining a little bit about it and giving some helpful hints and also encouragement. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to like and subscribe. And so in this first video, what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to read the definition of dyslexia and then go back and go through the definition one phrase at a time and explain what it means and just talk about it a little bit and hopefully give a little encouragement as well. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. And like I said, like and subscribe, and let's get started. The official definition of dyslexia, I got this from the International Dyslexia Association's website, and you can look at it there if you're interested. I'm just going to read it first. The dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and reduced reading experience that can impede growth of vocabulary and background knowledge. Okay, now let's talk about what exactly that means. The first part says dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. So first of all, I wanted to say that when dyslexia is a specific learning disability, if your child has been diagnosed with specific learning disability in language or in reading or literacy or something like that, then that's dyslexia. I'm not sure why, but I mean, it's a big mystery. It's like it should be on Unsolved Mysteries. Do they even have Unsolved Mysteries anymore? I'm sure they don't, because that's a really old show, I think. But anyway, it's an unsolved mystery why people don't want to name dyslexia. They won't call it dyslexia, but sometimes it is called a specific learning disability in the area of language. So also says that it is neurobiological in origin. That is a huge word, neurobiological. Just the neuro part means it's in your brain. It's in your brain. It's your brain cells. And biological, like it's part of you. It's part of you. It's not something that's caused by an external thing. It's in your brain and you're born with it. So it runs in families. You are born with it, and you can see the difference in brain scans when they have done these brain scans where functional MRI, fMRI imaging it stands for functional MRIs. So, an MRI is where you go in that big old tube and you have to lay really, really still, and they go put you in the tube and then they scan your brain, or they can do it to your spine. They can do it all, I guess, to any part of your body. But functional MRIs are where you are doing something so they do the MRI and you're supposed to read while they're doing it. And they can tell by, I guess it's how much oxygen is going to certain sections of your brain. So like while you're reading, people who are good readers, a lot of oxygen is going to certain areas of the brain, and that part of the brain lights up in the MRI. But people who are poor readers and people who have dyslexia, different areas of the brain are lighting up. So that's how they know that people that have dyslexia actually are using a different part of their brain to learn how to read. and to try to read. And so it's something you're born with. It is something in your brain. They can see it. It's like it's real. And it affects about 1 in 5 people. So that's about 20% of the population. And I want you to be encouraged by this, because I want you to understand that it's not something that you did. It's not your fault. It isn't like you didn't read enough to your kid, or you didn't, you didn't teach your kid the right way, or they had bad teachers. No, they have dyslexia. So they need some extra help learning to read, but they will learn to read. They're smart. So next part of the definition, it says it's characterized by difficulties with accurate and or fluent word recognition and poor spelling and decoding abilities. So characterized by difficulties with accurate and or fluent word recognition. I wanted to talk about the reason I put this hot chocolate and marshmallows here is because my daughter, when she was young, she could not remember, did she want a marshmallow in her hot chocolate or a mushroom in her hot chocolate? Every time we had hot chocolate, she wanted a marshmallow. Of course she wanted a marshmallow. Everybody wants a marshmallow in their hot chocolate, don't they? But sometimes she would ask for a mushroom in her hot chocolate. And she knew what she wanted, but she'd come up with the wrong word. And this is really a common thing with people that have dyslexia. Here's another example of that I heard from a girl. She said that she was walking across the campus, on a college campus at night, with a group of girls, and they walked by the boys' dorm, and she said, "Hey, we should marinate the boys." And of course everyone laughed at her, because of course they knew that she meant serenade, not marinade. But people with dyslexia, they just come up with the wrong word sometimes. And I just want to encourage you, if you are a person with dyslexia, and if this happens to you, I just want you to, I just want to encourage you to laugh about it. I mean, it's funny. It is funny. And if you can laugh at it, then everyone will be laughing with you and not at you. And, he who can laugh at himself will never cease to be amused. So just think about that and try not to be embarrassed or frustrated by it. I mean, it is kind of frustrating, but yeah, don't be embarrassed. Just laugh about it and enjoy it. It's funny. Okay, next part of the definition. Difficulties typically result from, so this is what is causing dyslexia, a deficit in the phonological component of language. So dyslexia is caused by problems in phonological component of language. So the hearing component, not the eyes. It's not caused by the eyes. It's caused by the hearing. Maybe they're having a hard time breaking the words into like hearing each sound in the word. That's a common problem. And next part, it's difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities. So in other words, this is unexpected because the kid is smart. The kid is a smart kid. If this child was not smart, then the reason they couldn't learn to read is because they're not smart. But this is not true. They're smart. They're smartest up here, but their reading ability is down here. And that's what dyslexia is. And that's why it's so unexpected. And it's very frustrating because the mom and dad and the teachers, they're all like, "What is the matter? You're a smart kid. How come you're not learning to read?" And it's very unexpected. And also, it's unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. So they may have a good teacher and all the other kids in the class are learning to read. If your kid is in a class and nobody's learning to read, then you're probably going to think maybe they don't have a good teacher. They're not having good instruction. But if all the other kids are learning to read and only a few, maybe, your child is still struggling, then it's not because the instruction, it's because they have dyslexia. So, that's just something that is important to understand about the definition of dyslexia. It's very unexpected. And the reason it's unexpected is the kids are smart, but they're still struggling with reading. Okay, now, secondary consequences. Let me move my picture. There we go. Secondary consequences may include problems with reading comprehension, reduced reading experience, reduced vocabulary growth, and reduced background knowledge. You can understand that a person, like I picked this picture of this girl here. She's trying to read a book, but she's got a blindfold on. Maybe she is working so hard to try to figure out what the words say that she has no room left in her brain to think about what does this mean? Because it's so difficult to read that and to figure it out that she just doesn't have the cognitive ability to think about other things like what is the meaning. Also, maybe she doesn't, maybe she figures out how to sound out a word, but she doesn't know that word. She doesn't know what it means. And when you don't know what the words mean, then you don't know what it's saying. And so if that's what's happening, why read then? You don't want to read. So you quit reading so much and reduced reading experience. You have a lot less experience with reading. And so what happens is the good readers, they read more, and the poor readers don't. And what happens is the gap between what they know gets bigger as time goes on. People who read a lot learn a lot of vocabulary because there is a much richer and more varied vocabulary in a book than there is from talking. So people who are reading a lot, their vocabulary is getting bigger and bigger, and the people who don't read a lot are not getting as big of a vocabulary. And there are people who read a lot are learning things, just things about all kinds of things. And people who don't read a lot, maybe they aren't learning a bunch of things. And so this can be a big problem. So I wanted to say that doesn't have to happen to you. Because, if you have dyslexia and you can't read well, or your child has dyslexia and you can't read well, I am going to tell you how you can prevent the secondary consequences from happening. They don't have to happen at all, because you can still be a person who is well educated, who has a high vocabulary, who knows a lot of things and has background knowledge that you can draw on to learn other things. And this is how. You can listen to audiobooks. You can watch documentaries. You can go to the museum. You can read true stories. You can listen to podcasts. You can encourage your children to listen to even news stories and learn things. They can listen to history stories. They can learn about science. They can do science experiments. And they can be learning all the time. And you can involve them in discussions and conversations around the dinner table and take them places that are where they learn things instead of just amuse themselves. And you can make this a total way of life. And many people do this, and they have kids that have dyslexia, but yet they don't have the lower vocabulary. They don't have the reduced experience and background knowledge. They have a good information in their brain. They just are struggling with reading. So then all you have to do is work on having them learn more how to read well. And they aren't struggling with also reduced background knowledge and vocabulary. So it's totally possible. In fact, many people do this. And there is one caution that I wanted to say about this, and that is that sometimes if you have a child that's really like they have a good vocabulary, they're knowledgeable about multiple things, they can talk well about those things, then it's hard to recognize that there's a learning difficulty. It looks like there isn't. And even, the teacher may not recognize that actually they are not a good reader and they may not get the help that they need. So that's just a caution that I wanted to throw in there. So I just want to encourage you to make sure that those secondary consequences do not happen in your family. And at the same time that you might listen to your child read and find out how good of a reader they are. And if they are needing help, then provide that for them. And not let them just slip under the, under the radar because they're so good at talking and they're so knowledgeable. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to you and also encouraging to you. That's going to be my goal, is to provide information that is helpful and interesting about dyslexia and encouragement about dyslexia and about life. So my goal is to have a video that can come out about every Thursday is my goal. I don't promise that it will always be every Thursday, but I'm going to try to do every Thursday. So hit that like and subscribe button and even the little bell ringer thing so you'll know. And another thing, why don't you invite some of your friends to come along too?